The name is Bond. James Bond.
The question on every Bond fan's mind is who will be the next James Bond. This isn't just a casting decision, it's a cultural moment, a statement about the future of one of cinema's most iconic characters. Since Daniel Craig's departure, speculation has dominated social media industry chatter and entertainment news. But the truth is, casting Bond is never just about looks. It's about presence, versatility, moral depth, and the ability to carry a franchise that is both beloved and historically scrutinized. First, let's talk history. Bond has always been defined by the actor inhabiting him. Sean Connery brought charm, danger, and a sense of invincibility. Roger Moore leaned into humor and suave sophistication. Timothy Dalton introduced gravitas and intensity, while Pierce Brosnan blended wit with sleek modernity. Daniel Craig gave us a raw physicality, moral ambiguity, and emotional depth. Each Bond reflects not only the times, but the unique vision of the actor. So, what does the next Bond need to bring to the table? Villeneuve and Knight are likely seeking someone who can navigate complex moral narratives, intense action sequences, and character-driven drama. Bond must be capable of vulnerability, charisma, and physicality. In short, a modern spy who feels real, yet retains the ineffable Bond charm. Fan speculation has suggested a wide variety of possibilities. Some favor established stars who have proven dramatic range. Others suggest emerging talent who can grow with the franchise. Villeneuve's involvement adds another layer. He tends to favor actors who can convey depth and subtlety, who can carry long tension-filled sequences without dialogue, relying on expression and presence. This may push casting toward actors known for intensity and nuance, rather than the traditional leading man swaggering alone. Diversity is also part of the conversation. For the first time in decades, the franchise may seriously consider actors of different ethnicities or background, reflecting the global audience and contemporary cultural awareness. While some fans have expressed concerns about changing Bond, others see this as an opportunity to evolve the character while keeping the essence intact: charm, danger, intelligence, and moral complexity. Physicality remains non-negotiable. Craig raised the bar with hand-to-hand combat, stunts, and immersive action sequences. The next Bond must be capable of performing convincingly in similar high-intensity scenarios. Villeneuve's slow-building action style also demands an actor who can carry tension through subtle gestures, prolonged shots, and the emotional weight of life-and-death situations. Chemistry with supporting characters is crucial. Bond's dynamic with M, Q, Moneypenny, and new allies drives much of the story. The next 007 must interact naturally with ensemble casts, balancing charm, wit, and gravitas while maintaining dominance as the central character. This isn't just a role, it's a performance that anchors an entire cinematic universe. There's also the weight of legacy. Bond is not just a character, he's an icon. Any actor stepping into the role must respect the tradition while bringing something unique. Villeneuve and Knight will likely seek someone who can bridge the old and new, a Bond who honors the legacy of Fleming, Connery, Moore, and Craig, yet feels contemporary and relevant. The timing of the announcement is also strategic. Bond 26 is years away from release. This allows Villeneuve to cast carefully and for the actor to train rigorously, prepare for stunts, and embody the role to the full. When the world finally sees the next 007, it must feel definitive. The audience must immediately accept him as Bond. No compromises. Finally, the casting process is shrouded in secrecy as always. Agents, producers, and creatives often maintain tight-lipped confidentiality. Rumors swirl constantly, but few are confirmed until the official announcement. This secrecy builds anticipation and allows the franchise to control the narrative around its next leading man. In summary, the next James Bond will need emotional depth and moral complexity, charisma and screen presence, physicality for intense action, ability to carry an ensemble cast, respect for legacy while feeling modern and relevant, subtlety and nuance suitable for Villeneuve's cinematic style. Casting the next 007 is arguably one of the most crucial decisions in Bond's history. Done correctly, it will usher a new era that honors the past while boldly stepping into the future. Villeneuve, Knight and the Broccoli's have the opportunity to redefine Bond for a new generation, a spy who is as timeless as he is contemporary. Every major change to Bond generates fan discussion, while the next Bond is sparking conversations unlike any in recent memory. One of the most talked about topics, the fear among fans that Bond might become woke. This term, of course, is loaded, debated, and often misunderstood, but it reflects a real tension between maintaining the character's traditional traits and evolving him to fit modern cultural sensibilities. Let's unpack that. James Bond has always been a product of his time. Ian Fleming's Bond in the 1950s reflected Cold War attitudes, British imperialism, and gender dynamics of the era. Sean Connery's Bond embraced a mix of danger and charm in the swinging 60s. Roger Moore's Bond added humor in the 70s. Daniel Craig's Bond brought emotional depth and moral complexity in the 2000s. Each iteration modernized the character while keeping the essence of Bond intact. Now, in 2025, audiences are more socially conscious. Issues of representation, gender, race, and power are central to cultural conversations. Some fans worry that a modern Bond might be too overtly political, overly sanitized, or stripped of his traditional charm in an effort to appeal to contemporary sensibilities. The fear isn't necessarily about change, it's about whether the franchise might compromise the traits that make Bond, well, Bond. At the same time, many argue that evolution is inevitably and necessary. Bond has survived for over 60 years, precisely because the character can adapt without losing identity. Daniel Craig modernized Bond by making him physically and emotionally realistic. Villeneuve and Knight have the opportunity to continue this evolution, updating the character to feel contemporary while retaining wit, danger, and charm. It's worth noting that woke Bond discussions often focus on casting, storytelling, and themes. Could the next Bond be of different ethnicity? Could female agents play larger roles in ways that were precisely backgrounded? Could villains represent modern societal threats like cyber warfare, climate sabotage, or corporate corruption? These are questions about modernization, not about erasing Bond's core identity. There's also the narrative angle. Knight is known for morally complex characters and stories. Villeneuve's style emphasizes moral ambiguity and tension. In this context, a modern Bond doesn't need to be overtly woke. He needs to exist in a world where ethical dilemmas are realistic, where every action has consequence, and where supporting characters have agency. This is evolution through narrative sophistication rather than political signaling. Fan reactions are predictably divided. Social media is awash with speculation, both excited and apprehensive. Some fans want to return to the gritty, physical, emotionally complex Bond of Craig's era. Others hope for a progressive approach that reflects today's global society. Villeneuve will need to strike a careful balance, satisfying longtime fans while engaging new audiences without alienating either. Historically, Bond films have weathered similar debates. GoldenEye updated Bond for the 90s without losing a sense. Casino Royale redefined him for the 2000s. Each time, fans worried about too much change, and each time, the films emerged stronger. This pattern suggests that Villeneuve and Knight may face the same scrutiny, but also the same potential to innovate successfully. Let's consider tone. Bond has always walked the line between humor and danger. Woke debates often ignore this nuance. Bond can remain dangerous, charming, and morally grey while existing in a society-aware context. Villeneuve's deliberate pacing and visual storytelling could ensure that cultural relevance never overshadows narrative and spectacle. Finally, there's the broader industry trend. Franchises like Marvel and Star Wars have faced similar fan debates. They've demonstrated that modern audiences value depth, diversity, and relevance, but they also crave continuity, spectacle, and iconic traits. Bond 26 will likely follow this dual approach, honoring tradition while thoughtfully engaging contemporary sensibilities. In summary, concerns about a woke Bond reflect anxieties about change, but evolution has always been part of the franchise. Villeneuve and Knight are likely to balance tradition with modernity through narrative and visual storytelling. Casting, supporting characters, villains, and themes may reflect contemporary society without undermining Bond's core traits. Fan scrutiny is intense, but the franchise has historically navigated similar debates successfully. Ultimately, Bond's identity is resilient. Woke or not, Bond will remain the suave, dangerous, charming spy audiences love, but now with a lens that reflects the world he operates in today. No discussion of Bond is complete without exploring his signature style, the music, gadgets, and the very aura that makes 007 instantly recognizable. These elements are more than flair, they're storytelling devices that shape mood, tone, and audience expectations. For Bond 26, Villeneuve's cinematic vision, combined with Knight's narrative ambition, promises to honor these traditions while introducing fresh innovations. Let's start with music. Bond's iconic scores, Monty Norman's James Bond theme, John Barry's sweeping orchestrations, and David Arnold and Thomas Newman's modern reinterpretations have always defined tension, romance, and action. For Bond 26, speculation points to score that blends orchestral grandeur with contemporary electronic motifs, reflecting both classic elegance and modern intensity. Villeneuve is known for his meticulous integration of music into storytelling. In Dune, for example, sound and score are inseparable from the narrative. Imagine a Bond infiltration scored with pulse of rhythm, echoing footsteps, and a haunting motif that signals danger, every note reinforcing suspense. Signature musical cues do more than heighten action, they communicate character. The Bond theme is often subtly woven into the score to underscore his presence, whether in a quiet moral dilemma or high-octane chase. This continuity links Bond 26 to decades of cinematic history, while supporting Villeneuve's visual storytelling. Expect tension-filled sequence punctuated by subtle callbacks to the classic Bond motifs, clever musical winks for longtime fans. Now, gadgets. From the iconic Walther PPK to exploding pens, the Aston Martin gadgets, and Q branch innovations. Technology is a Bond staple. Villeneuve's style emphasizes realism, so we might anticipate gadgets that feel plausible yet extraordinary. No gimmicks for their own sake, but tools that reveal character and story. For instance, a new tracking device might not just locate a villain, it could create tension through stealthy, prolonged sequences where Bond must improvise, using intellect and reflexes rather than relying on spectacle alone. Vehicles also deserve special attention. Bond's cars have always been extensions of his identity, sleek, stylish, and deadly when needed. Villeneuve's cinematic lens could transform vehicle sequences into visual poetry, long takes, meticulously choreographed, stunts, and dynamic interaction with environment and lighting, cars, bikes, and boats may once again become central storytelling, not merely modes of transport. Costume and visual style remain key. Bond's tailored suit, signature tuxedos, and casual espionage wear signal sophistication, confidence, and identity. Villeneuve's eye for composition could elevate costume design into visual storytelling, how Bond's attire interacts with the environment, how colors reflect tone, and how every outfit subtly communicates character evolution. Supporting characters often contribute to Bond's style as well. Q's inventions, Moneypenny's intelligence, and M's leadership all intersect with Bond's aesthetic and operational identity. In Bond 26, these characters may be more integrated than ever, their contributions enhancing the narrative, gadgets, and action sequences originally. Humor is another stylistic element. Bond's dry wit, clever quips, and charismatic interactions provide relief amid tension. Villeneuve's measured approach ensures these moments land without undermining suspense. A single sardonic line can become a narrative pivot, humanizing Bond while emphasizing stakes. Finally, Bond's overall signature style, a combination of visual, auditory, and narrative elements, sets expectations for audiences worldwide. It's the reason a single frame of Bond walking down a hallway, accompanied by a motif, can elicit excitement. Villeneuve's cinematic sensibility, combined with night storytelling, will likely preserve this essence while updating it for modern viewers. Expect elegance, suspense, and innovation to coexist seamlessly. In summary, Bond 26's signature elements include music that blends classic orchestral motifs with modern intensity, gadgets and vehicles that are functional, stylish, and narrative-driven, visual style that elevates costume, location, and lighting into storytelling, humor and charm integrated naturally into high-stakes situations, overall cohesion of auditory, visual, and narrative signature that makes Bond instantly recognizable. These elements, handled carefully, will ensure Bond 26 feels both timeless and contemporary, honoring tradition while boldly stepping into a new era of style, sophistication, and spectacle. As production progresses and Villeneuve's vision takes shape, anticipation for Bond 26 is reaching fever pitch. Fans, critics, and casual moviegoers alike are watching every announcement, every teaser, every rumor with heightened curiosity. This is more than a film release. It's a cultural moment, a culmination of decades of cinematic evolution, and a statement about the future of one of the world's most enduring franchises. Let's start with fan anticipation. The combination of Villeneuve, Knight, and Amazon has created expectations for something ambitious, stylish, and emotionally resonant. Trailers, teasers, and promotional images will be dissected frame by frame, even subtle details, a glint on Bond's watch, a shadow in a corridor, a brief gadget reveal, become conversation starters. The global fan base is vast and vocal, spanning generations from Connery enthusiasts to younger viewers discovering Bond through streaming platforms. The release strategy is also evolving, with Amazon's back-end theatrical distribution may coexist with digital or streaming premieres, possibly in multiple windows to maximize audience reach. The balance between cinema spectacle and global accessibility represents a modern challenge: how to maintain the event-like experience of a Bond premiere while leveraging new media platforms to reach a wider audience. Marketing will play a critical role. Bond 26 will almost certainly have a multifaceted campaign: posters, teasers, interactive social media content, tie-in with luxury brands, and global partnership. Amazon's data-driven approach may even tailor marketing content to regional audiences, highlighting specific locations, vehicles, or characters that resonate with local viewers. This level of precision is unprecedented for Bond, reflecting the digital-first era of filmmaking and distribution. Of course, there is the inevitable comparison to previous films. Every Bond faces scrutiny against Connery, Moore, Craig, and the other iterations. Villeneuve's Bond will be no different. Critics and fans will analyze character development, pacing, visual style, and adherence to the Bond formula. Success will hinge on maintaining core elements: charm, danger, humor, and spectacle, while introducing new depth, moral complexity, and cinematic innovation. Legacy is another key consideration. Bond is one of the longest-running film franchises in history, and Bond 26 will inevitably shape its trajectory for the next decade. Villeneuve's approach could set a new standard for cinematic style, character-driven narratives, and immersive action. It may influence not only future Bond films, but also the broader spy genre, inspiring filmmakers to blend realism, spectacle, and philosophical depth. Critically, anticipation also reflects the broader cultural conversation about Bond. After Craig's emotionally complex tenure, audiences are eager to see how the franchise addresses morality, diversity, and modern geopolitics without sacrificing excitement. Villeneuve's methodical, character-driven approach provides hope for a Bond that is both relevant and thrilling, satisfying traditionalists while engaging new fans. Merchandising and cross-media presence are part of the legacy. Watches, vehicles, gadgets, clothing, and even video game tie-ins will allow fans to engage with Bond beyond the screen. Amazon's resources could push this further than ever, integrating merchandise with storytelling and global marketing to create a fully immersive Bond universe. Then there's a question of awards and recognition. While Bond films have traditionally been popular entertainment rather than Oscar contenders, Villeneuve's cinematic sensibility, Knight's narrative depth, and cutting-edge production could attract serious critical acclaim. The potential exists for a Bond film that is both a blockbuster and an artistic statement, bridging commercial success with cultural significance. Finally, the film's ultimate impact will be measured by how it resonates long after release. Successful Bond films endure because they combine spectacle with substance. They become reference points in cinema, shape popular culture, and influence fashion, music, and storytelling. Bond 26 has the potential to continue this legacy while establishing a foundation for future films and the next generation of spies, villains, and cinematic adventures. In summary, anticipation and legacy for Bond 26 involve a global fan base eagerly analyzing every detail, strategic multi-platform release with Amazon's backing, marketing campaigns tailored to both tradition and modernity, comparisons to prior Bond and maintaining the franchise formula, cultural resonance through diversity, morality, and modern storytelling, merchandise, cross-media presence, and immersive audience engagement, potential critical acclaim and long-term influence on media. Bond the 26 isn't just a film, it's an event, a cultural milestone, and a bridge between 60 plus years old and of tradition and the future of cinematic espionage. Villeneuve, Knight, the Broccoli's, and Amazon have the opportunity to craft a film that honors the past, excites the present, and defines the next era of James Bond. Thank you for listening, and we hope you enjoyed the visuals of our new style podcast. I'm Zain. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. As always, remember, at Zains007fancast, we do it better.